just want you all to know that I just recorded like 20 minutes of this video and didn't even realize I wasn't recording, so I know how to do things. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So, about a month ago, I went to Interactive Introverts for a second time, and while I was there, something exciting happened that was very unexpected and completely unplanned, which is that I met Dan and Phil again, which I did not see happening at all. So I'm gonna talk about that and basically the whole Atlanta trip in general because it was very fun. I had a great time. Yeah, good memories to preserve in video form. And also, I just really want to talk about Dan and Phil, so that's an even better excuse to make this video. So yes, it has been about a month. I wanted to make this video sooner. I actually wanted to make it like 2 weeks ago, but then I got sick, and then before then I just didn't really get around to it for no good reason. But it's happening now, and that's all that matters. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this because there's a lot to cover, and I don't want to put this into 2 parts. I just kind of want to have it in one whole. So we're just... Hi, Callie. Are you going to jump on my bed? You are, and I bet when you jump on my bed, you're gonna shift my phone slightly. There. Oh, that's not bad. That's, yeah. Anyway, gonna jump right into this because there's a lot to cover. A lot happened. Alright, so the original plan is that my friend Ashley and I were going to go to Atlanta, Georgia because I had other tickets than mine and all I had were parents who particularly did not want to go or care. And I had recently converted Ashley into the religion and she wanted to go. So Ashley and I were gonna take a Greyhound to Georgia the day before, see the show the next day, then go home the day after. And that was the plan up until, here's my cat. So that was the plan up until about a few weeks later after I went to Greensboro because I made friends in Greensboro. And the friends I made in Greensboro, we had a little group chat, and in our group chat, one of the friends that I made there, Anaya, had sent into the chat, please something along the lines of, please convince me not to spend any more money to see another Interactive Introvert show because I really want to see with all the lights in person. Please tell me to wait. Because if you remember, our Greensboro show was rained out. It had rained, the set was wet, there were no lights, no effects, just 2 giant spotlights, Dan and Phil, and some sound. I told her, Dan and Phil are probably gonna upload the show somewhere and you can see it then. It'll be okay. The show will still be amazing watching it on the internet. You don't have to see it in person for it to be great. You will still love it. Don't spend any more of your money. And she agreed to that and it was fine until about 30 minutes later when I remembered I had still an extra ticket that I could give away. And so I messaged her and I was like, hey, I just remembered I have an extra ticket. If you can pay for your food and travel to Atlanta, I have a hotel and I have the ticket. You can have those things for free if you want to come. So Anaya was coming with us as well. Alright, so that was the original plan up until the night before going down to Atlanta. So I was gonna go to bed early, you know, get plenty of rest for the next day because it was gonna be a long day of travel and who knows what. Climbed into bed, turned on my TV, put on an episode of The Office, and then my phone went off and I checked and I had a text from Anaya on my handy dandy iPad here. I will tell you what that text said. Was a screenshot of a tweet that she had found that said, attention, I am selling a VIP Dan and Phil ticket for $100, worth $175 for the Atlanta show this Saturday. Offers are welcome too, please share. I was sent that, and originally, I was not going to buy the ticket. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do it. I already met Dan and Phil, like, it's fine. It's fine. I laid in bed for about an hour and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I messaged Anaya and I was like, help, would I be an absolutely terrible person for at least making an offer? Anaya texted back and said, you wouldn't. No regrets, honestly. Life is too short. We would never have this opportunity again. And so after hearing that from Anaya and then also talking to my mom about it, I decided to at least make an offer on the ticket. So I messaged the person that was selling the ticket. I was like, hey, can I make an offer for this amount of money? They were like, okay, sure. You are now the highest offer. I will decide tomorrow midday. And I was like, thank you very much. I had a very hard time sleeping that night. I think I stayed up until like 5 a.m. and I had to get up at 8. No, 7. I had to get up at 7. I wasn't prepared for meeting Dan and Phil at all, or even like the possible chance of it happening. So I woke up the next morning and I was like, hey, I might not get the VIP ticket, but in case I do, I threw tatinof into my bag, my sketchbook, pencils and stuff, and a couple other things, being like, hey, if this does happen, I want to make sure I have something, because I was thinking, hey, if I do get to meet Dan and Phil again, I could ask Phil to finish signing tatinof because he didn't hear me in Greensboro. So I just threw a bunch of crap in my bag and hoped for the best. I also didn't think about clothes. If you don't recognize this shirt, this is the shirt that Dan wore when I met him in Greensboro. It is literally the exact All Saints shirt, and I bought this afterwards because I also bought the Phil shirt, the shirt that Phil was wearing in Greensboro as well. I'm obsessed. I didn't think about how this was the shirt that I had for the show, and I had the potential of meeting Dan and Phil, and I'd be meeting Dan in this shirt that he owns as well. I'd be meeting Dan in this shirt that he owns that I bought because of him. And for some reason, I was worried about that coming across as strange. And so I went to the Greyhound station. I started thinking about, like, how would it work with me getting the ticket? So I was talking to this person about how it would work with getting the ticket. Turns out she wasn't going, so she told me about how she would make a video authorizing me to pick up the ticket at the Fox Theater, and then I could send her the money after she sent me the video, so I'd know for sure that I could pick up the ticket. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That makes me feel, you know, like a whole lot better. So we talked about that a bit. A little bit later, I get a message that says, okay, so a lot of people are being very rude and mean to me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and sell it to you for its face value of $175. I feel bad for racking up the price, and honestly, I don't really think it's fair. Seeing as you've been so nice, I will go ahead and sell it to you. I will still not be able to call them until 2-ish though, because I need my boyfriend to record it. So I didn't get the ticket because I was the highest bidder. I got the ticket because I was the only person being nice to them. I was the only person being a decent human being. So the moral of this story is, be a decent human being, and good things happen, I guess. I was in the Greyhound station waiting for my bus when I got this news, and so naturally I freaked out and slapped Ashley on the arm repeatedly out of excitement. Now, this is literally the day before the show. I got maybe 24 hours to mentally and emotionally prepare to meet Dan and Phil. That is not enough. For Greensboro, I had time. I had months to prepare before meeting them. I only had like a 24-hour warning for this. I was not emotionally prepared, I was not physically prepared, I was not mentally prepared, I was not prepared at all. So anyway, went down to Atlanta riding on the bus. Didn't talk to my seat neighbor at all. Bus was very cramped. I ended up talking to my seat neighbor near the end when we were getting ready to get off, and I don't know what sparked the conversation or how it even came up. Turns out this person, her girlfriend, was also obsessed with Dan and Phil because I think she asked me why I was going to Atlanta, and so I told her I was there for a show, and she was like, what kind of show? And I was like, 2 YouTubers. And she was like, oh really? Which 2 YouTubers? And I was like, Dan and Phil. Turns out her girlfriend's like absolutely obsessed with them. Her girlfriend, who she just finished visiting actually, and she told me about how her girlfriend straight up told her that if she was in a fire and so were Dan and Phil, that she would save Dan and Phil first and then save her. Just to let her know where her priorities lied. I was like, hey, at least she was honest with you. And she was like, yeah, I'm glad she was honest with me. So yeah, that happened on the bus, which I felt like was worth mentioning. Be honest with your partners. So anyway, Ashley and I got to Atlanta, and I wasn't there yet because she's from North Carolina. We're from South Carolina, so we got there sooner. Poor Anaya, she was on the bus for like 12 hours. I don't even remember anymore. She had such a long ride. So we got to Atlanta, we dropped off our stuff at the hotel, and then we went to eat. Not really important to the story, but I realized that the Fox Theater, which is where Dan and Phil were going to be at the next day, was in walking distance, and I really wanted to go by there because that is also the theater where I saw tatinof back in like 2016. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm emotional. I ended up making my poor friend walk. My poor friend who hates walking, I made her walk to the Fox Theater so I could take pictures of the theater, and we also ended up walking all the way back to the hotel, and I nearly killed her because she has asthma. So next day is show day. Anaya's there, we're all sleeping peacefully. All of a sudden, Ashley wakes up. She runs over to my side of the bed and she's like, wake up! You know, I'm like, what is it? And Ashley's like, it's 2:30 in the afternoon, you gotta get ready, you're gonna miss Dan and Phil, you gotta get up, we slept all day. Then she suddenly stops and she looks behind me slightly at the clock and then looks back at me. Thank you, Callie. And she stops and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's 7:30, you can go back to sleep. That is how our day started and how we were woken up for the day, which was kind of hilarious. But it wasn't long before I had to get ready for the show because I had to leave sooner because the meet and greet. And so I got dressed in this shirt. Still wasn't very prepared. I had decided that I was going to draw 2 pictures for Dan and Phil to sign in my handy dandy sketchbook since I couldn't really think of anything else that I actually really wanted to do. So I was ready. I had my sketchbook, I had my iPad here, so if I could find someone who wanted to record me meeting them, you know, I could. And so that is what happened. Got to the theater. The Fox Theater was very unprepared, I discovered very quickly. I went up to the box office and I was like, hey, here's to pick up a ticket, you know, with the name on my ID. They were like, is there another name it could be under? And so I gave the name of the person who sold me the ticket. And they were like, we can't find it. Is there possibly another name it could be under? And I was like, no. So I started like frantically messaging the person that sold me the ticket thinking like I'd been scammed, something is wrong, like oh my gosh, I'm not gonna meet them. Like I knew it was too good to be true. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to meet them twice. It was a miracle I got to meet them once, never mind twice. Like this is all a scam, I'm not gonna meet them, this is awful, the entire thing is ruined now. Turns out they had forgotten to print my ticket. So everything was fine, they just forgot to print my ticket and made me freak out for no reason. So I got my ticket. Well, I got my ticket in the second one because there was someone else that was going to be sitting next to me who ended up buying the other ticket from the person, and her name was Madison. I was given her phone number because the person who sold me the ticket was like, hey, do you want to talk to your seatmate? And I was like, sure. So I had both the tickets and I went and I stood in line. While standing in line, I get a text from Madison and I'm like, she's supposed to be here by now. She told me she'd be here earlier than me, but I'm here and she's still not here. Turns out she's stuck in traffic. I was like, okay, well, I have your ticket, so when you show up, just look for the person with the red hair, because my hair was red at the time. Look for the person with like reddish pinkish hair, that's me, and I will give you your ticket. And she's like, okay, cool, I'll try to be there as soon as possible. The line starts moving. She still hasn't showed up. They're letting people into the meet and greet and she's still not there. I'm letting her know this and she's like, I'm like 20 minutes away. I don't know what to do. I ended up going back to the box office and I was like, hey, can you hold this ticket for this poor girl? She's running late. She's not gonna be here in time. I don't want to be stuck inside with her ticket and her not be able to have it. Can you hold it for her, please? And I gave them, you know, her name. So that way when she showed up, she could just pick up the ticket there. And so that was all set up. And so I let her know and she was like, okay, thank you. And I got back in line, went to actually be let in, and they stopped me and they wouldn't let me in because they were like, your name doesn't match the name here. And I was like, yeah, I bought the ticket from this person and I was authorized to pick it up, so I have the ticket now. But they were like, we need like an email confirming the purchase. So I ended up having to text the person again. I'm like, please send me the purchase, I want to get inside. And I actually remember like standing off to the side while waiting for the email, and lovely people in the fandom, let me tell you, everyone is so nice. This person saw us standing inside and I looked kind of nervous because I was freaking out and I was shaking and I was really red because I'm a very pink person, so when I freak out I turn red. And they were like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for something so that way I can get in. And they let me know, hey, you'll be able to get in and it'll be okay. And I don't know who you were, but I just wanted to say that I did really appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Thank you. But it all worked out. I got inside. Also, the lighting has changed dramatically. It is storming outside. Wind is blustering. I'm gonna keep going like this. So I do finally get inside and I get in line. We were in a beautiful Egyptian room where this iconic photo took place. Also, I didn't alert anyone on social media that I was meeting Dan and Phil for a second time, so to alert everyone about what was happening and where I was, I posted a picture of the room where Dan and Phil took a picture in. So standing in line, there was this older lady standing next to me, and she taps me on the shoulder because she realizes I am alone. And she's like, hey, do you want someone to maybe take your picture with Dan and Phil for you? And I was like, thank you. I don't need someone to take my picture, but would you mind like maybe recording me meeting them on my iPad? And she's like, oh yeah, sure, I wouldn't mind at all. But you might rather my daughter do it because she's better at, you know, the video stuff than I am. She ended up recording my meet and greet video for me, which I appreciate greatly. Her group of friends seemed really nice. I actually ran into them a couple other times during the show. So I was waiting in line. Dan and Phil come out. I am more prepared to catch them coming out this time because in Greensboro, they scared me because I completely forgot they said hi to everybody and actually had to enter the room. I actually got like a really good video of them coming in. I say really good. It's not very good. You can't see them very well, but it made me happy. And so they come in, you know, they go behind the screen and everything. And then afterwards, I start recording on my phone. I look next to me and the person next to me has just a single tear rolling down their cheek after Dan and Phil entered the room, and like honestly that is the biggest mood I've ever seen. And the meet and greet has actually started, the line is moving, and as the line is moving, I see someone wearing what Madison told me she would be wearing for the show, and I look over and I just see, you know, her wearing the Pixel People shirt, jeans like she said, and I pointed at her and she pointed at me and I was like, Madison, and she's like, yeah! And I was like, I'm so glad you made it, I was so worried for you. She made it, she was very excited. Went around the line after talking to her for a little bit. It was time to meet Dan and Phil. Like, my time had come, like this was it. I accidentally recorded Marianne's butt. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Marianne. I did not mean to do that, but you have a great butt. I also turned the audio recording on for my phone because I'm very creepy, but Marianne very kindly was like, do you want me to hold your sketchbook and phone for you so you can give Dan and Phil a big old hug? And I was like, I won't be able to record anything they're saying to me, which makes me nervous, but yes, sure. I gave her my phone and my sketchbook, and during the meet and greet, you can mostly hear what they tell me from my phone because she's staying close enough, and then also from the recording video, but you don't hear all of it. And there's this one section where I completely blacked out and I have no memory of what Dan said to me, and it will haunt me for the rest of my life. But other than that, like, it was fine. So the girl who offered to record for me, she came around after meeting them and grabbed my iPad and ran back around. And then I went around to meet Dan and Phil, and I went around the corner, gave Phil a big ol' hug, which was amazing and great. And I could honestly cry just thinking about Phil. And then I turned around and gave Dan a hug, and it began. They signed my sketchbook for me. I drew this picture for Dan to sign, and he signed it like my little signature. I drew both of the pictures for them frantically like the night before, so that was fun. And then the Phil one. I will say this was around the time that I like completely blacked out because I was unprepared to meet Dan and Phil. I was not in the zone. Like, I didn't have enough time to process this, so there's like literally this point in time where I did what I did at Y'all Fest, where I stared at Dan's face and he spoke to me, but I did not hear a single word that he said. And I still have no idea what he said. But I do remember he saw the first drawing and he loved it, the drawing that I did of him, but then he like absolutely started raving about my drawings as soon as he saw the one of Phil. He said he loved my drawings and then also told me to please keep drawing, which, oh my gosh, you're killing me. I do want you all to know that I also drew this earlier in the day before meeting Dan and Phil, and I almost had Dan sign this. I almost had Dan sign the picture of him with his furry boyfriend, but I had self-restraint. Also, I like the s'mores picture better. So they signed my sketchbook. Very happy. We went to take the picture, and I had the confidence to ask to hold their hands, so I held their hands and we took a picture, and it was great. And they have good hands. They have giant hands. Dan could kill me with his hands. Phil has like smaller, daintier hands, but I feel like Dan, if he slapped me open fist, I would actually fall to the ground and die. Like, I just feel like the impact of his hand to my face would kill me, which is just what I think about. Phil gave me my sketchbook back, and Dan gave me my phone back, and I stepped in front of them, and I just took a moment to tell them that I loved and appreciated them both, and about how they both have made me smile throughout the years. No matter what kind of day I'm having, I can just turn on their videos and just immediately feel better. And I told them that in the letter that I gave them when I met them in Greensboro, but I actually wanted to tell them to their faces, and it just felt good to tell them that. And then I left, and it was good. It was really good. One thing, though, is that in Greensboro, when I was sitting before the show started, someone was sitting in front of me. Her name is Mitch. I gave her my Twitter. At Greensboro, she made these signs and gave them to Dan and Phil. Dan and Phil still haven't used them, and they promised her that they would use them, and they still hadn't used them, so I was actually planning on asking them about Mitch's signs. Like, I had a picture saved on my phone and everything, and I meant to ask them about her signs, but, I forgot. I meant to say something, but I didn't, and I forgot. But her signs are amazing. You should follow her. She's very cool. So after the meet and greet, I went back out. I saw Ashley and Anaya sitting right there in front of the door, and so I joined them and sat down, talked to them. And then shortly after, Madison actually came out, and she sat with us and hung out with us before they opened the gates for the show to let people in. So the plan is just get a spot as close to the door as possible, so when they open the doors, we could run and get merch as quickly as possible. I do want to say this is another example of how exactly unorganized the Fox Theater was. Then we go through the door. Madison goes first, then I go, and then Ashley goes to step through, and they won't let her in. Turns out they voided the tickets that I bought. So I have to go back through, go to the box office, and be like, hey, there shouldn't be a problem with these tickets. I bought these tickets. They should be fine. So we go up to the front and I'm like, hey, I bought these tickets. They're not working. Why aren't they working? They should be working. And they were like, but I thought you had a VIP ticket. And I was like, I do. And they're like, and you also bought these tickets? And I was like, yes. And so they were like, but you're VIP. And I'm like, yeah, but I also bought other tickets because I didn't know I was going to get VIP. But that doesn't matter. Point is, I bought these tickets, they should work, but they're not working. My friends should be able to get inside. Turns out they voided my tickets that I bought for, like, apparently no reason. They had to fix that, which took a large amount of time. Yeah, that was fun. So we finally get to go into the show. We go through, and my ticket won't scan because it's already been scanned. So I'm talking to a lady, and she's like, did you already go through here? And I was like, yeah, I did. I had to take care of a ticket problem. And she was like, well, you know, if they've already scanned your ticket, you can't come back in. I was literally just here. We had a ticket problem. The lady that was here before told me it would be fine for me to leave to take care of the problem and come back. And the lady was like, oh, okay. Well, you know, just so you know, don't do that again. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can here. So we finally get inside. We run to the merch line. We get in line because we want our merch. I ended up convincing Anaya to buy an Interactive Introverts hoodie because I loved mine, and I talked about how much I loved mine in the Greensboro video, and it convinced her to buy one. I got the poster, which I will insert a video of because it's already hanging on my wall. I also got the long sleeve Interactive Introvert shirt, and I love this thing. I want to wear it all the time. Wonderful, wonderful shirt. All of their merch is wonderful. Who are we kidding? I could not resist. I bought the jean jacket. Voila. Voila. It's got the little buttons on it. It says introvert on the back. A+ high quality merch. I love this jacket. I've spent so much money on them. Ashley was actually going to buy merch, but since I met Dan and Phil twice, I had extra VIP merch, so I went ahead and gave her my lanyard and wristbands, so she ended up not buying anything because I gave her what she really wanted. And then Anaya got the hoodie, and it was great. But we went and we sat down just before the show started. We almost weren't sitting down in time, but luckily we did. The stage looked amazing. I finally got to see with all the lights, and it was beautiful and amazing and gorgeous. Yay lights, it was amazing. And then also during the show, I was sitting next to Madison, of course, and then also sitting next to me was the most ecstatic dad I have ever seen in my entire life. He was so excited during the entire show. He was clapping, he was screaming, he was having the time of his life, laughing along. I honestly just loved sitting next to him. I definitely screamed a lot more at this show than I did in Greensboro, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that in Greensboro, I was sitting next to someone who was drinking a beer and otherwise looked very bored. And then on the other side of me was a very young child, so I felt out of place screaming a bit. But the Atlanta show, I screamed a lot. Like, I've never screamed so much in my entire life. I've never cheered so much in my entire life. I've never clapped so much. It was great. Spoiler alert, there's a part in the show where there's a simulation where, you know, like you cheer for a choice, sort of like in Tatinof with the fanfiction choices, and in one of these, one of the choices given was for Phil to summon Satan. Basically, it was before it was time to cheer for our choice. I just heard I heard the situation, and I heard the option for summoning Satan. I thought it was so funny. I just screamed, and when I did, Dan looked straight at me, made eye contact, and said, "Why are you cheering for Satan? What's wrong with you? I thought we were in the South." And he probably says that at every show where people cheer for Satan, but there's just something about him making eye contact with you when he says it, specifically, when everyone else also isn't cheering. That is just kind of like, you feel slightly shamed. It was great though. I'm glad I got called out for cheering for Satan. What's even funnier is it was Saturday night, and I was literally missing church the next morning for this. I missed church to go to a show and cheer for Satan. That is what I did with my time. There's also another part of the show where, without giving too much away, because, like, I don't want to give spoilers, but I also want to tell you what happens. Okay, vaguely, very vaguely, slightly spoiler-ishy, there's a part in the show where there's a scroll that has writing on it, and they can't reuse it for another show, so they throw this scroll banner thing out into the audience. Usually people, you know, go after it like wolves and rip pieces off, and there was someone sitting in front of me who got a giant piece of the scroll, and they were giving out small pieces to, like, 2 people. I turned around to give a small piece to Madison sitting next to me, and I held out my hand because everyone was doing that, you know, being like, "Hey, I wouldn't mind a piece, but you don't have to give me one." They turned back around. I'm guessing it was their mom that was sitting next to them, talked to them, and then the person begrudgingly turned around, looked very upset, and then started tearing off more of the scroll, gave me a piece and other people around us, and anyway, I got a piece of the scroll. So this, yeah, it is a nice piece of scroll. I treasure it greatly. Thank you, person who I think was forced by your parent to give it to me, but thank you anyway. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good day. That was basically, like, the most exciting things of the show that I can really share. Yeah, it was really cool. I loved seeing it with all the lights. I hit myself in the chin. With all the lights. I loved seeing with all the lights. It was so pretty. Dan and Phil did such a great job. I love Interactive Universe so much. I can't wait for it to come out so I can just watch it repeatedly. Great show. Each time I've met them has been amazing, and honestly still makes me cry at like 4 a.m. even though it's been like a month. I don't really have anything else to say except for, like, I miss them. Like, I miss them greatly. I miss them a great amount. And also, this shirt is so much more special now. This is the shirt Dan was wearing the first time I met him, and then I met them for a second time wearing this shirt. So it's, like, kind of more special now, which Anaya lovingly pointed out. Also, since I got the VIP ticket and I had the better seat, I sat there, and so Anaya got to sit next to Ashley and ended up with a better seat, and it worked out very well. They had a great time too. We all had a great time. We went back to the hotel and we talked about it all night, and then the next morning we got on the bus to go home, and it was a really great trip. We had a really good time. Honestly, I miss, like, all of my friends from Greensboro, and, you know, like, also, like, Anaya, since, like, I just saw her a month ago. If you follow me on social media, like, you see that I talk about it a lot, and I'm so sorry for that, but that is genuinely, like, the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, those are, like, the best moments of my entire life. And I don't mean to talk about them and be like, look at me, I did this. I literally just talk about it because it makes me so happy, and I love Dan and Phil so much. They are such good people. I love them with my whole entire heart. Like, they're just amazing and so sweet and so kind, and I appreciate them a lot. So me talking about meeting them a lot isn't a being like, look what I did. It's literally just, I'm still so excited about it. I'm still so thrilled that it happened, because they are such good, genuine people, and meeting them, you just see even more of that. And, like, if you have the chance to meet Dan and Phil, like, you should completely 100%, like, go for it. I honestly think, like, I would have really regretted not going and meeting them a second time, because Greensboro was amazing, but I was such a mess. I was such a flustered mess, and I didn't do all the things that I wanted to do. I did want to hold their hands for a picture, and I did want to actually tell them how happy they've made me over these years, and how much of a big part they've played, and like, I just think it was needed. Also, I'm really happy they signed my sketchbook. Although now I am afraid to draw in it, because now every time I draw in it, I'm like, it has to be perfect, because the sketchbook has to be perfect. But yeah, thank you for watching these videos. If you did, I appreciate you greatly. You should follow me on my social media links, because I have something exciting happening soon, and you don't want to miss out on it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm working on something exciting that you can buy. I don't know when it will officially be a thing, but it's something I'm working on, and I'll probably upload a video when it is a thing, but you should follow me on social media because you'll know sooner. That is it. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for watching my videos, and yeah, I will see you all very soon.